Ready in the balcony, a little earlier than usual. Yay, two thumbs in the balcony. All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Alameda City Council meeting. Today is March 3rd, 2026, and we are about to go into closed session. And I am going to ask the city clerk to start out by calling the roll.
Council members Bowler.
Here.
Daysong.
Here.
Jensen.
You need to be in your seat in the microphone if you don't mind, because we're taking a recording. Tracy, come on in. Quickly, thank you. Okay,
Pryor.
we gotta stand on schedule.
Mayor Ezzy Ashcraft.
Here.
5 present.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And do we have any public comment on closed session items only?
There's none.
All right. I'll wait for Councilmember Jensen to be seated, and then we'll proceed with the meeting.
I'm sorry, I hurt my knee.
Are you going to stand in closed session?
Oh.
I think that if you let the city clerk know, they might be able to accommodate with the stool. But then just raise the microphone to where you need it to be. So then, Madam Clerk, would you please announce the closed session items that we're about to adjourn to consider?
Yes, there's one item. It's 3A, public employee appointment hiring pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. The title description of position to be filled is city manager.
All right, thank you so much. And so to anyone who's watching already, the City Council has every intention of being back before you at 7 p.m. this evening. We'll see you in a few hours. All right, thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Council members, let's all adjourn to 391. They're always ready in the balcony. Okay. What are we doing? Thank you. And do I need any post-it for the closed session? Oh, consent?
No, you're right, I didn't hand that to you yet.
No worries.
Here for you.
It's all good.
Women in history thing, I don't know. This is for consent. There we go. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to call the City Council meeting to order. I would like the audience to pay attention to. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the City Council meeting for the City of Alameda to order. This is Tuesday, March the 3rd, 2026. The City Council has just returned from closed session, and I will announce that interviews were conducted and no decision was made. And with that, I will adjourn the special closed session of the City Council. Did I say no vote was taken?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Thank you. And then I will call to order the regular City Council meeting, and we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to ask our Vice Mayor, Michelle Pryor, to please lead us in the pledge.
Please stand if you're able. States.
Liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Vice Mayor Pryor. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Spoler.
Here.
Daysog.
Here.
Jensen. Here. Pryor.
Here.
Mayor Ezzy Ashcraft.
Here.
5 present.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any agenda changes today?
There are none.
All right. Well, then we will go right in to proclamations and special orders of the day. And we do have a proclamation because, well, I'll tell you all about it. I'm about to read it. All right. So, March is Women's History Month, and the 2026 theme, Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future, honors the women whose leadership, innovation, and commitment to community well-being are helping build a healthier, more equitable, and more sustainable world. This theme reflects California's longstanding recognition of women who have advanced civil rights, expanded educational opportunities, and strengthened the social, environmental, and economic fabric of our communities. Women like Patsy Takemoto Mink, the first woman of color elected to Congress and a co-author of Title IX, transformed educational access for millions of girls and women. Her work ensured that future generations would have opportunities she herself was denied, and her legacy continues to influence classrooms, campuses, and athletic programs across the country. Closer to home, California celebrates women whose scientific achievements have reshaped modern medicine and deepened our understanding of human health. Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn of UCSF received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for discovering how chromosomes are protected by telomerase and the enzyme, actually they're protected by telomeres and the enzyme telomerase. This breakthrough continues to inform research on aging, cancer, and cellular health. The University of California also highlights leaders such as Dr. Ana Maria Napoles, a UC alumna whose research has advanced health equity for underserved communities, and Dr. Susan Hubbard of UC Berkeley, whose work in climate and energy science is helping prepare California for a more resilient and sustainable future. Across the Bay Area, women continue to lead efforts that strengthen community health, environmental resilience, and public well-being. From scientists advancing climate and energy research at the University of California to public health leaders improving access to care, women are shaping a more sustainable future for our region. Their contributions reflect California's enduring commitment to innovation, compassion, and public service. Here in Alameda, I don't see her in the audience, but Danielle Mealer, Sustainability and Resilience Manager for the City of Alameda, oversees the city's Climate Action and Resilience Plan and co-chairs the Oakland Alameda Adaptation Committee, a coalition of local, regional, state, and federal stakeholders and community-based organizations working collaboratively to address sea level rise adaptation and promote community resilience. In 2025, Danielle was honored by the Greenbelt Alliance for her work in planning for climate change resilience. Another inspirational and influential local leader is Alameda Food Bank Executive Director Teal Harden, whose work has expanded access to nutritious food for families across the island. We recognize and honor the many women leaders whose determination and dedication are creating a healthier, more sustainable, and inclusive future for all. Now, therefore, I, Marilyn Ezzy Ashcraft, Mayor of the City of Alameda, hereby proclaim March 2026 as Women's History Month in the City of Alameda and encourage all Alamedans to celebrate, share, and learn more about the rich history and remarkable achievements of women. The Alameda Free Library is highlighting Women's History Month with a series of special story times celebrating women on Thursday, March 5th at 10:30 a.m. Bay Farm Island Library is story time with Alameda firefighter Mackenzie Carey. Tuesday, March 17th, 10:30 a.m. West End Library story time with a female Alameda police officer, yet to be named. Thursday, March 19th, at 10:30 a.m. at the Bay Farm Island Library, story time with Mayor Marilyn Ezzy Ashcraft. Monday, March 23, 10:30 a.m. at the Bay Farm Island Library, story time with Crab Cove naturalist Susan Ramos. And Tuesday, March 24, at 10:30 a.m. at the West End Library, story time with Mayor Marilyn Ezzy Ashcraft. Saturday, March 7, 3 p.m. at the West End Library, local artist Christina Edwards will lead an intergenerational Women in Weaving workshop. And on Saturday, March 21 at 11 a.m. at the Main Library, join local poet, filmmaker, and cultural worker Tay Poetically Divine for a poetry reading and screening of her short films. And I just want to add that I recently met a very impressive woman, Australian woman, because you may have heard that the Australian national soccer team is coming to Alameda to train at the Roots Soccer Facility for FIFA 2026 this summer. But there was a delegation that came last week, and leading the delegation was a woman named Heather Garriock. She is the executive director of Football Australia, and she is also, for 15 years, she played football, is what they call soccer in Australia. Or anyway, she played football with the Matildas, which is the Australian women's national team, for 15 years, and now she is leading Football Australia. And I should add that Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn, who I highlighted in the proclamation, is also Australian. And on a little Alameda connection, my amazing executive assistant used to work for 4 physician scientists at UCSF, and Dr. Blackburn was one of them, and it was when she won the Nobel Prize. And Melissa would tell you that the office was complete chaos, but in the best possible way when the announcement was made. So let's hear it for Women in History. And I understand that we have public comment, and I always do my little meeting rules of meeting conduct. So let me just do that quickly, and then we'll take public comment. So I'd like to remind everyone that this is a business meeting, not theater, not a sporting event. We are conducting the business of the City of Alameda. So therefore, I ask that there not be applause, boos, cheers, jeers. We don't do the wave. We just listen respectfully when other people are speaking. We do that at the council, at the dais. We listen to all of you, and we expect you to listen to the speakers as well. Public speaking can be very stressful, and sometimes we have someone who's speaking at the council for the first time. We never want someone to feel so intimidated that they don't get up and share their views. And so I want to create a safe space for people to share their views. And I also like to remind people that sometimes there are young people in the audience. I don't so much see any, well, I think we have a high school student in the audience. That's still young. But they may be watching from home. And so I would just like us to all set a good civic example. If you want to hold signs, that is your First Amendment right. Unless you're sitting in that last row in the chambers, please don't hold them over your head where they might block someone's view, but fine to hold signs. And then I will read this magic language that I don't think we'll need to rely on. But California Penal Code Section 403 states it is a criminal offense for any person to, without authority of law, willfully disturb or break up any assembly or meeting that is not unlawful in its character, other than an assembly or meeting referred to in Penal Code Section 302 or Elections Code 18340. First violations will receive a warning, and continued violations will require additional action, which could include police intervention. And with that, Madam Clerk, we'll go to our public comments. Thank you.
Brian Kennedy.
Welcome, Speaker Kennedy.
Good evening. Women's History Month. What an appropriate subject matter, especially considering the times we are in right now. Historical appointments under the Trump administration. Strong, capable, accomplished women, historical appointments. That is appropriate for Women's History Month. We've got Kristi Noem, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, who, as we speak, is devastating MS-13 and Tren de Aragua and illegal alien child sex traffickers and rapists and things like that. Kicking tail, that's inappropriate. We've got a great Attorney General named Pam Bondi, who's kicking the heck out of people as well, defending our country. We should be happy that we have a person like that. We've got Tulsi Gabbard, DNI Secretary, Department of National Intelligence, a combat veteran who's also working to protect our country. And we've got Lori Chavez, who's the Secretary of Labor. By the way, I know the big thing is women of color. Both Tulsi and Lori are women of color appointed by the Trump administration into positions of power. Second item out of three, the historic preservation of women's Second Amendment rights. Our current administration supports the Second Amendment. Now, I'm an NRA certified range safety officer at the Richmond Rod and Gun Club. I'm one of the guys in the red vest and the red hat. I make sure people who don't do things like that, and I yell at you if you do. You should see the women that shoot out there who take their Second Amendment rights, Tony, very, very seriously. And as a whole, quite frankly, they're better shots than the guys, myself included, because there's not all this macho stuff like that. And so our administration is currently taking care of their rights so that women can defend themselves. It's a wonderful thing. And third and finally, Trump is defending angel moms, women. Mothers whose children were killed by illegal aliens in sanctuary cities. He did a thing in February 22nd. Did you guys hear what that is? Trump declared February 22nd, Michelle, official Angel Family Day. It's a national day of mourning for them. And he did that to honor, Greg, angel moms whose children were killed by illegal aliens, courtesy of the likes of our mayor who votes for sanctuary cities. They'll never see their kids again, and they're honored by our president. So he's honoring women. National Women's History Day. Isn't that an appropriate thing? So I thought I'd toss that in. I think it's an appropriate thing. Happy National Women's History Month, and God bless all the women in America. And the babes on the gun range, man, they are good shots, let me tell you. Have a good one, guys.
Any further public comment?
Not on the proclamation.
Okay, well, we will close public comment on proclamations, and we will move on to oral communications, non-agenda items, and this is where we'll take 15 minutes now to hear about matters not on the agenda, but over which the council has jurisdiction. And if we run out of time, there will be another opportunity after, in section 9, at the end of the regular agenda. So Madam Clerk, do we have speakers on oral
We
communication
do. We
non-agenda?
have 7, so they'll get 2 minutes each, but we'll be able to get through all of them during this time frame. The first is
Great.
Brian Kennedy.
Okay, and when you hear your name, maybe call 3 so
Okay.
that we can hear their names
Sure.
and keep
Roan
going. Okay,
Sarno is next, then Mitch Ball.
okay,
Paula,
just so you
again,
remember.
have a request of where can Alamedans go to find out information on federal funds that come into Alameda? As you know, our president, Donald Trump, Alameda's president, Donald Trump, has said that any town that is a sanctuary city for illegal aliens, criminal illegal aliens, is no longer eligible, Tony, for federal funds. So we'd like to find out that is. Now, Adam, I hear you're the interim guy. Perhaps you're the source. I don't know. Maybe somebody could direct us where to go. With that information, then Alamedans who are concerned could go to those federal agents and say, hey, look, Alameda's getting money it doesn't deserve because it's violating federal law, and take the appropriate steps. You know what prompted President Trump to do that? Well, I mentioned it previously, National Angel Families Day. He was up on stage surrounded by angel families, mothers and fathers, and Tracy, you know who angel families are, holding pictures of their slain loved ones, killed by illegal aliens in sanctuary cities. It was heartbreaking. I noticed that Alameda hasn't acknowledged that in any way, shape, or form. I was going to bring a graphic, but I'm told I'm not allowed to bring a graphic for this section of the deal. Now, as far as the funds go, I hope it doesn't affect our veterans, because it would be an awful thing if Alameda chose illegal alien criminals over our veterans fund. I hope it doesn't happen. So perhaps, Adam, somebody could contact you later. We get that information. And if there are funds, get those funds cut off, because we're in violation of federal law. It's an insult to angel families. It's an insult to lawful immigrants who wait 7, 8 years to come here lawfully, and then illegal aliens cut in front of them in line. It's a terrible thing. It is ugly. Ask our mother of twins here, our mayor, who likes to call herself that, in front of angel moms who are mothers of nothing now.
Next. Roan Sarno, then Mitch Ball, then Gabriel Duncan.
All right, thank you. Welcome, Speaker Bernstein.
Hello, Council. It's good to be back. Last Friday, hundreds of students walked out of school from all of Alameda's high schools and some of Alameda's middle schools. They went to a rally at Franklin, where over 100 of them signed a letter, which I will read to you now. To the members of Alameda City Council, we, the youth of Alameda, are writing to call on you to take real action to protect the most marginalized voices in our community and to strengthen our voice in local government. As young people in Alameda, we are directly impacted by decisions made at the municipal level. We believe our city should reflect the values of inclusion, solidarity, and representation that we embody every day. We respectfully call on the City Council to, 1, publicly reaffirm and strengthen policies that protect residents from ICE actions by converting the city's sanctuary city resolution into an ordinance, ensuring APD has a written policy not to cooperate with DHS, CBP, or ICE, following the county's lead in designating all city-owned property as ICE-free zones, and canceling the city's contract with Flock. And 2, give youth a voice in decisions that affect us most by passing a charter amendment that expands voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds in school board elections, similar to policies adopted in Oakland, Berkeley, and Albany, supporting that charter amendment when it's on the ballot, and supporting youth civic engagement programs around the island. We are not asking to be symbolic participants, token voices, or merely ignored. We are asking to be genuinely heard. Please listen to what we have to say. You are building the world we inherit. We want that world to be one that's profoundly democratic, just, and free, whether it be in our communities or around the globe. As students, we are organizing, speaking out, and participating peacefully because we care about our community. We ask you to meet our leadership in action with leadership in action of your own. We look forward to hearing your response and working together for solutions that reflect all of Alameda's youth and families. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Mitch Ball, then Gabriel Duncan, then Paula Rainey.
Got it. Welcome, Speaker Ball.
Hello. This will be shortened for 2 minutes, but I submitted a written copy of the full 3 minutes with link citations by email. Last Monday, the Planning Board Commission previewed an early look at the housing element report, and it showed a truly disastrous situation. Well, in our previous best year, we weren't on pace to meet half of the RHNA targets. Last year showed a uniquely poor performance with less than 10% of target permits issued. This is an emergency. While Alameda has met the housing element zoning requirements, zoning is no longer the bottleneck. California's housing crisis was not caused purely by bad zoning, but by an insidious, nativist, and xenophobic ideology that infiltrated and influenced municipal government decades ago, producing harmful policies that now seem commonplace today. The new bottleneck is cost of construction, a large portion of which is municipally imposed. Well, last year's uniquely poor performance was in part caused by cost drivers out of Alameda's control, including tariffs, loss of labor, and the Palisades fire. This should not be an excuse to wring our hands of responsibility, but a wake-up call that more drastic action to reverse the injustices of the past needs to be taken. Most impact fees within the 2014 study were calculated by taking the total value of all future or new city infrastructure and dividing it by the projected number of all future or new units. Here's the problem with that. While the RHNA target is 5,353 units over 8 years, the Nexus study projects 4,600 units over 27 years, amplifying the impact fees. The impact fee calculations assume we failed to meet housing targets, and by virtue of that assumption, ensure that that's what happens. If Alameda is serious about solving the housing shortage crisis, it needs to use the RHNA targets to calculate its impact fees. We shouldn't be planning to fail. Every year, more people in Alameda lose their homes, more young people leave the island knowing they'll never be able to afford to return, and more couples in Alameda give up on the dream of ever starting a family. This is all because for decades we haven't built enough housing. Previously, this was an intentional outcome of policy designed to keep poor people, immigrants, and people of color out. Now, it's because we haven't done nearly enough to reform this draconian policy design. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Gabriel Duncan, then Paula Rainey, then Ralph Walker.
Welcome, Speaker Duncan.
Hello, my name's Gabriel Duncan. I'm the founder of the Alameda Native History Project. Being passed around right now is information about a community research project that we're holding. This is part of a Science to Practice grant that we got through the University of California Agriculture and Natural Resources Department. And it's going to be in cooperation with the UC Cooperative Extension as well as the UC Davis Plant Science Department. We have been moving quickly over the last year. We've created a brand new acorn leaching machine, which actually solves the choke point seen throughout the entirety of California Indian country. This is something that's needed to create acorn flour, which there is a great need for. So we've managed to solve that problem, create something that can leach acorns with 10 to 12 gallons of water versus 240, 480 gallons of water. And do it safely, efficiently within 7 days. And this is our first batch that we've created right here. This is something that we're going to be using to cook in our culinary series, which is going to happen in the next couple of months. We also have an event that we've planned for the Alameda Library, which we're waiting for the date for, which is going to happen in June, probably June 21st, which is an acorn processing workshop. We're also going to begin acorn harvest trainings here in Alameda, which we will not only take around town during harvest season, but also around the region, Northern California. So we've got some really exciting growth and great opportunities for the people of Alameda to plug in and contribute to reopening indigenous foodways and providing traditional food and tangible benefit to tribes in this area. So please feel free, go to nativehistoryproject.org, find out about the Acorns Project Arc, and join us in doing something that's truly great and wonderful and energizing. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Paula
Paula
Rainey, then Ralph Walker, then Zach Thayer.
All right. Welcome, Speaker Rainey.
Thank you. My name is Paula Rainey, and I'm happy to be able to speak to you about two matters in
You want to
particular.
bring the microphone down just a little so.
Better?
Yeah, can
So,
hear you.
I'm Paula Rainey. Our country is once again at war. Many in our community are distressed. Many have family, friends, business acquaintances in the countries that are being bombed or likely to be bombed as this continues. And many of us recognize that war does not support our safety and prosperity here at home, let alone support the health of our planet. So I want to lift up two local efforts that residents may wish to support. One is the People's Arms embargo, and I urge people to contact Supervisor Lena Tam urge her to support the People's Arms embargo, because now we have weapons regularly throughout the week passing through, weapons parts, I should say, passing through the Oakland airport. And these weapons parts are used on the F-35 fighter jets that are bombing in Gaza. We must stop that. It's contributing to the genocide supply chain. The second matter, I ask that people call Supervisor Tam and urge her to support the Alameda County Ethical Investment Plan. We have a large pot of money in the county that gets invested. It's a very large pot of money. And decisions have been made to have this ethical investment plan, but implementation is only halfway done. It's like people are kicking the can down the road maybe till after elections before they would think about implementing that fully. It needs to be adopted.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Ralph Walker, and then Zach Thayer.
Welcome, Speaker Walker. Well, thank you.
My name is Coach Ralph Walker. I'm
And
the
sir,
head coach and
Why
founder of
don't
the
you
Don
bring
Grant
the
Alameda
microphone
Track
down
Club.
just a little, we can hear you better.
I'm the head coach and founder of the Don Grant Alameda Youth Track Club. I grew up in Alameda back in the 60s. We moved to Berkeley, so I had a pretty successful track career in track at Berkeley High School. So I started a track club in Berkeley, Berkeley State Track Club, but I wanted to come back and do something for the kids in Alameda. So I came back and started Don Grant Track Club at Alameda College, but they was charging me $5,000 a season, and I was doing it for free. So I stopped practicing there, so I started pressing for Encinitas to get a new track, and I supported them 100%. So after they put it on, I told them to put it on the bond like Berkeley High School did, and let the residents vote on it, and that's what they did. They okayed them a track. So after they get to the track, they got the okay for the track and got it finished. Now they saying I can't use it, or no other residents in Alameda can use that new track, and that's wrong. And I'm fighting for it. I'm gonna be fighting for it until I die. I need to use that track. My brother, John Todd Walker, he was a big community activist in Berkeley. He was all on the news last week. He had a heart attack and died. And I promised him I was going to coach his granddaughter in track. And I was planning on doing it in Encinitas track. So I need y'all to talk to them and tell them, because I'm going to be out here protesting with my bullhorn acting a fool. I don't want to bring all this negativity to Alameda, because this is where I grew up, and I got a lot of respect for Alameda. I need y'all to put something, because Pasquale told me I can use it. But his assistant secretary, she got something against me, and she's trying to stop it. But Pasquale already told me, the superintendent told me that I can use it. I came to the school board meeting, I had my bullhorn. I guess he got scared because he know me from Berkeley. We had a problem years ago. They tried to get me for something, and I took him to court, and I won in a jury trial. So this is his payback, I guess. I don't know what he told them school board.
Thank you so
I
much.
don't know, wait a minute, I don't know
Your
what he
time
told
is
them.
up, sir. Thank you so much for coming. It's good to see you. Thank you. Our next speaker.
Is Zach Thayer.
All right, we have one more speaker now. Okay. Thank you, sir. Your time, Mr. Walker, Coach, your time is up, sir. Could our next, sir, this is public comment. You've made your comment. I need you to sit down now. Thank you so much for sharing thank you. You take care. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sir, come on up to the speaker. Okay. Mr. Walker, we have to keep the meeting. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. Come on up and speak. I know Mr. Walker doesn't want to make trouble. I know he's going to sit down now. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's hear from our next speaker. Welcome.
Howdy. Mexico v. the United States. Young v. the United States. Jensen Pharmaceutical v. the United States. Chuck Porter. I don't know what these are. This says United Nations Dispute Tribunal Secretary General of the United Nations via the applicant and via the asylum or procedures of war. Procedures of war. That's better. I got better question. You guys know what this is? Does anybody know what this is? This says Merkel v. President Trump articles of impeachment, case number 220 CV 00680-ODW-GJF. Are we dumb? Stupid, retarded. James Huntman. Let's ask our better question. Who knows in Tijuana, Trump v. the area, Hawaii, when we make our claim in view of the feces for Tijuana, we need nuclear bombs. San Buena Vista, can we be an island, our own country now? These are the counterclaims in interpellate expectations. I don't know if that matters at all in Trump v. Anderson. I wouldn't ask Bo Kim v. the United States. I would like to ask you guys don't need a copy of this. Can I give them freedom of the press? Freedom of information. May I ask that in Huntsman? I got a question. And Fairfax, I impeached him. And Fairfax, is it 7 or 5 states during the vote?
Thank you so much. Next.
That was ours.
Okay, with that, we will close oral communication on non-agenda items, and we will move on to item 5, which is the consent calendar. These are routine items approved by one motion unless council members remove items for discussion, and then any item removed from the consent calendar will be called after we complete our regular agenda items, and council members may speak for up to 3 minutes on the consent calendar. So first, are there any consent calendar items any council members want to pull? Going once? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Then are there any questions that council wants to ask? You need to pull an item to ask a question from the consent calendar. Again, seeing none. Madam Clerk, do we have public comment on the consent calendar? We will close public comment on the consent calendar. Any council comments on the consent calendar? Then I'm looking for a motion and a second.
Actually, it's maybe a question for the...
Councilmember Daysog.
Thank you. A question for the city attorney. At what point do I recuse myself from 5D on the vote itself?
Oh, Councilmember, this is a good time for you to announce your recusal.
Okay, I will need to recuse myself from item 5D because one of the landscape and lighting districts is close to my house. Or the other way around. My house is close to the landscape and lighting district on Webster Street.
Yeah, that's 5D as in dog. Okay. Would you like to make a motion, Councilmember Daysog?
The balance?
That you approve, well, you could approve, yeah,
Yes.
and just noting that you're abstaining on.
Recusing.
Okay, yeah, recusing yourself from that one. Okay, so we've had a motion by Councilmember Daysog, a second by Vice Mayor Pryor. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes, noting, of course, that Councilmember Daysog abstained from item 5D as in dog. Okay, we then move on to item 7, regular agenda items. Madam Clerk, would you please introduce item 7A while the staff comes on up to, whoops.
Yes.
No traffic collisions, please. Yes, please, Madam Clerk.
Introduction of ordinance amending the Alameda Municipal Code by repealing Chapter 22, Streets and Sidewalks, Article 1, Streets, Section 22-3, Repairs in its entirety, and repealing and replacing Chapter 22, Streets and Sidewalks, Article 2, Sidewalks, Section 22-18, Repair of Sidewalks and Other Works, and 22-20, Specifications to amend the sidewalk repair procedures and make other technical amendments.
Thank you, and hello.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. I'm Erin Smith, the City of Alameda's Public Works Director. As Laura mentioned, tonight, council is considering introduction of an ordinance that will amend sections of our municipal code related to sidewalks. This is a revised ordinance from what was presented to council back in January. I'm going to be fairly quick this evening since this matter was presented more in detail on January 6th, but I will provide a brief background as to how we've arrived at this revised ordinance, give a very short overview of the city's sidewalk program for a bit of context, walk through key elements of the revised ordinance, and then conclude with staff's recommendation. In February of 2025, the city launched a new pilot program for our sidewalk. I'll get into that in a little bit more detail. On January 6th, council was presented with a collections policy and an ordinance related to sidewalks. At that meeting, council gave direction to amend certain sections within the proposed sidewalk ordinance and to return. So the proposed ordinance you're considering tonight is in response to that direction. By way of context, our sidewalk program has three main components. Illustrated in the photograph here, we do what are called temporary repairs, where we're able to quickly shave the sidewalk to remove tripping hazards. We then have sidewalk damage that is caused by street trees, in which the city replaces that sidewalk. And then we have sidewalk that's damaged, not caused by a street tree, in which the property owner is responsible for making those repairs. In February 25, our new pilot program, now we do temporary repairs regardless of cause. And when we notify property owners of their responsibility to make a repair, we offer them the option of having the city perform the work and we invoice them. The pilot program offers multiple opportunities for financial assistance and payment plans when needed. And you can see over 70% of property owners notified elect the city to have do the work. So I think that's a good indicator that the program is meeting the objectives of reducing the burden and barriers for property owners to do sidewalk repair work. The program also includes an enforcement component, which means if a property owner is not responsive to the letter or otherwise doesn't make the repairs, the city will move to make those repairs to reduce the risk of public injury, and then we seek to recover our costs. So the ordinance presented in January and also this evening codifies the city's authority to administer a program like our pilot program. It also codifies the city's ability to offer that financial assistance at multiple opportunities throughout the process and those payment plans. What is different between that which was presented January 6th and that which is presented this evening is related to delinquent accounts. The ordinance proposed now exclusively will rely on a collections process as further detailed in the collections policy that council adopted on January 6th. The ordinance before you this evening removes the additional enforcement mechanism, which includes placing a special assessment on a property to recover any costs due to the city. So next steps, assuming the ordinance is introduced tonight, there'll be a second reading March 17th with an effective date 30 days after that. And lastly, at the January 6th meeting, council gave direction for staff to return after 2 full years of implementation of the sidewalk program, which puts us in February of 2027, where staff will come back and prepare a holistic report for the sidewalk program, including how that collections policy is working. And with that, staff's recommendation is that council adopt the proposed revised ordinance before them this evening. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much, Director Smith. Council, do we have any clarifying questions about this report before we go to public comment? Any clarifying questions? Councilmember Daysog. Go ahead and ask it in the microphone so we know what you're talking about.
Yes, so the question that I have has to do with we've removed the prior lien process, which I believe had included a meet and confer process. So when we're about to, in the prior regime, when we're about to implement a lien, we wanted, before we did that, within the ordinance, there was a meet and confer process, which is now removed. is, what is the theory for not having a meet and confer process, even in this revised process that we're about to produce? I mean, is there any reason why, what would be the argument for why we don't memorialize within the body of the ordinance some kind of meet and confer before we start like, for example, in section 22-18.12A, it says, if the owner does not provide payment in full to the city within 45 days of issuance of the second invoice, the city may initiate collections proceedings to collect such funds as authorized by law. So what is the argument to not include some kind of phrase that says that there would be a meet and confer? I mean, I don't see the harm in why we don't memorialize it, but perhaps, there's a rationale behind it.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Councilmember Daysog. So just a point of clarification, the ordinance that we presented January 6th was never codified, so we never had that meet and confer process. It was being proposed as part of the lien process. And what the ordinance before you this evening does just pertain to collections. And if you remember, on January 6th, council was also presented with a collections policy, which you adopted. And in that collections policy is a more detailed step-by-step process for how that collections process will proceed. And specifically in that collections process, there is a section even before we would send that notification of collections, is that staff are authorized to work with the debtor to resolve the matter before any further enforcement or collections would be taken. So we just removed the lien section entirely, and we're relying now on our policy, which does allow that opportunity to engage with the debtor.
Okay, well, two things. One is I appreciate removing the lien part because, that's always kind of difficult for anyone, especially if they want to sell their house, possibly. But the second thing is, thank you for pointing out that that's in the other policy. So there is kind of a memorialized, in effect, meet and confer process before we kind of really pull the trigger so that residents get at least one more chance to talk things out with staff.
Yes, absolutely. And our practice in the program is we're always available to engage with any property owner that receives at any point in the process notice, an invoice, a second invoice. We're always there to engage and discuss the matter. But yes, in the policy, it does codify or memorialize what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good answer. Thank you for that. Any other clarifying questions, council? Madam Clerk, do we have public comment on this item?
We have none.
Okay, well, we will close public comment on this item and open it up to council discussion or a motion to approve. This is introducing this ordinance, amending the municipal code. And as I know we all remember that we just couldn't move forward on the lien portion. So is there any further discussion, or do I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Okay, this item has, the introduction of the ordinance has been moved by Councilmember Daysog, seconded by Councilmember Bowler. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? That passes unanimously. Thank you, Director Smith. All right, Madam Clerk, item 7B, please.
Introduction of ordinance authorizing the interim city manager to execute a lease for a restaurant suite portion of the historic Alameda Theater Complex with Playhouse LLC, doing business as Director's Cut Project Burger, located at 2319 Central Avenue, Alameda, California, for a term of 36 months with one extension option for 36 months. This item requires 4 affirmative votes, and the action is categorically exempt from further environmental review pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15301, Existing Facilities, and 15061B3, Common Sense.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of City Council. My name is Annie Cox. I'm a management analyst with the Base Reuse and Economic Development Department, and I am here today to present our staff recommendation that Council consider authorizing a new lease with an existing tenant called Playhouse, doing business as Director's Cut and Project Burger. So a little bit about the leased premises. The proposed lease is in a suite of the historic Alameda Theater Complex and is located at 2319 Central Avenue. The theater itself was designed by architect Timothy Pfluger and first opened in 1932. In 2006, the city, as owner of the historic building, undertook a major restoration of the facility. There are 2 retail storefront spaces of the complex, and they have always included a variety of auxiliary uses. This space in particular has been a restaurant since 2007. So the leased premises, the space itself is separate from the theater with a dedicated public entrance off Central Avenue. The suite is approximately 1,850 square feet, includes a dining area, indoor bar, kitchen, and 2 single-stall gendered restrooms. The leased premises do not include any designated parking spaces. The city's commercial broker publicly marketed the restaurant space for lease in late 2025 and toured interested parties. Project Burger is the, Project Burger operates a sit-down, family-friendly restaurant with takeout options. They were the only organization to submit a letter of interest. They operate this family-friendly restaurant 5 days per week serving lunch and 6 days per week serving dinner to downtown Alameda patrons. The current tenant purchased the business in 2018, and they invested over $60,000 in interior improvements. They also own all the installed kitchen equipment. The tenant remains in good standing and has made recent facade improvements to the marquee, awning, and signage as well. So in terms of the lease terms, this is a 36-month initial term, so a 3-year term with 1 3-year renewal option. The monthly rent of $5,865, or it's approximately $3.17 per square foot, and it includes annual 3% increases. We are offering or proposing to offer 1 month of rent credit in consideration of this tenant's continued tenancy. In the proposed lease, the tenant's responsible for their proportional share of utilities, taxes, fees, etc. This lease does reflect fair market value for the use, and it does include a 3% increase over their prior lease rate. Given all the information provided, staff ask that the council approve the first reading of the ordinance authorizing the interim city manager to execute a lease with Playhouse LLC. Our rationale: this will continue significant base lease revenues of over $200,000 in the first 3 years, supporting operating expenses of city-owned properties. This also provides space for an existing long-term tenant in good standing to continue to serve sit-down and to-go food for lunch and dinner patrons in alignment with the city's economic development strategic plan. The tenant will continue to maintain the premises as occupied, ensuring continued activation of this premium shopping district and supporting a thriving downtown Alameda business district. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present this lease for consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. I have just one. Did I hear you say this would bring revenue to the base reuse fund?
No,
Okay.
base lease revenues.
Base, okay, got it. Yes, different base. All right. Thank you. Any other clarifying questions, council, before we go to public comment? Madam Clerk, do we have public comment?
Zach Thayer.
Welcome, Speaker Thayer. You can sit down, Ms. Cox. Thank you.
Square footage cross tax abatement, wholesale inventory, commercial lease agreement is a model. Haley is not the challenge. In model assessment, if instead of restaurant, but you were looking at commercial lending, cost efficiency applications aren't schematical based on rental efficiency. If the rental efficiency has traffical applications pre and post COVID, are you tracking that instead of it to cost? Is that a question and view of your tax abatement assessment that we're still open for business and trying? I am going to ask that in view of that project, that be wondered at least a little bit. That is the same way as dormant application in solar panels, and ask that it be wondered to cost efficiencies. If we have questionable applications, the expressionary exuberance and commercial lending tied to tort wouldn't show that if it was a wholesale inventory, could that be questioned? That it wouldn't be the challenge in the alcohol under the Bureau of Consumer Affairs to food based on liquor licensing approach to outdoor bottle service. You guys tend to be a little bit different across as the city and the state for that based on exuberance. That's the same way as modeling it as a Frisbee golf complex. Those are both projects that were originally requested based on the application. Ask across from in and out, maybe a triangle and say the golf course, and then on the, I don't know, maybe a Margaret Wu as the same way. Eric's the owner of Project Burger, Mr. Jennings. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you. Next speaker.
That was our only speaker.
Okay, with that, we will close public comment and open the floor to council discussion of this item. Council, any comments? I would say that I appreciate Base Reuse and Economic Development bringing this item back to us. It is not easy to run a small business, and I know that the department, Ms. Cox, has worked with this business owner to help them run a more successful business. And from the report, it looks like they rose to the occasion. I know when occasionally I get out of the office at lunchtime and walk over to Park Street, it does a good business when the Alameda High kids are at lunch. And I think it just makes that whole block where the theater is more vibrant to have a going business concern there. So I certainly support the proposal, but what do my colleagues think? Vice Mayor?
I support this proposal.
Great. Do you want to make a motion?
I move, is this the first?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out how to.
The ordinance authorizes interim city manager to execute the lease for this business.
Okay. I move that.
You can just say, I move approval. The city clerk gets it from me.
Approval of item 7B.
And without a second, Councilmember Jensen? The motion has been moved by Vice Mayor Pryor, seconded by Councilmember Jensen. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. That sounds unanimous to me, right? All right, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, staff, and thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, we now move on to, oh my goodness, this is, because this is an interestingly configured agenda.
Right, we go to the joint one after.
Right,
Correct.
right.
You got
Don't we
it.
sometimes do the joint one at the top?
Before, yeah.
Whatever,
Yeah.
mix it up. Okay, so the item number 8 is City Manager Communications. We have interim City Manager Adam Polster. Anything from you?
Thank
City
you,
Manager?
Madam Mayor. No report from the city manager's office today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And any further oral communications, non-agenda items, Madam Clerk?
There's none.
All right, we'll close item 9. There are no council referrals, council communications, where council members may speak for up to 9 minutes, but Why would we? To address any matter not on the agenda, including reporting on conferences or meetings. Why don't we start on my left? Councilmember Jensen.
No, I don't have any.
Okay, Vice Mayor Pryor.
I wanted to say that the city hosted a movie event, the documentary The Apology, that was produced by Isha Knowles. It was really, really good. It's good to have a record because I think there's a lot of erasure of history throughout the United States. So it's not a happy story, but it didn't just happen to Russell City. It happens to communities all over. It really highlights just structural racism, the impact, and really just the historical robbing of future generations of being able to build generational wealth. So it was a very important story, and I was really glad I went. And I was so proud. I am so proud of the city of Alameda that we would host this. So.
And just going down the row, I raced over. I didn't get there quite for the beginning because I was out at the Roots training facility with the Australian delegation. But the Alameda Theater, the big main theater and the historic theater, was almost completely full. I mean, there's a couple empty seats here and there, and I don't think everybody was from Alameda. And I really admire the city and whomever put that together. But I was actually sitting in the same row as one of someone I've appointed to one of our boards and commissions, who told me afterwards that the film was kind of triggering for her because she's African American, and in the early 60s, her family wanted to buy a home in Alameda. And there were, even though there wasn't anything quite as egregious as Russell, or as obvious as Russell City, there were ways that the realtors had of not showing property to certain people. But yes, it is a devastating story. It didn't happen that long ago, and it took a long time. That area has now been annexed to the city of Hayward, but at the time that this was happening, it was an unincorporated area of Alameda County, and it was the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, and man, do they not come across very well. But one of the things that I remember, and I told the interim city manager about it afterwards, is they did some using transcripts of these hearings and then using voice actors and some very well done sketches, like drawings of people. They played the dialogue. The supervisors were so disrespectful to these people who were coming before them, just saying, wait, don't take our homes by eminent domain. You're saying that, well, your property is decrepit and all that, but you won't issue permits when we go to ask for a permit. And now you want to give us, $2,000, and where are we supposed to live on? And the supervisors were so rude. So it was just kind of a gut punch for elected officials that we never want to treat people. You don't necessarily have to agree, although they were kind of blind to a lot of things, but we certainly treat everyone with respect. And it also took a long time for the county, but led by, I think, now Supervisor Elisa Marquez, who was formerly a council member in the city of Hayward, and when she became a supervisor on the Board of Supervisors, she rallied her colleagues to actually, there's a fund to pay reparations to the families and actual descendants who were impacted by that. But yes, it was very powerful, and I'm glad we had a chance to see it. And I also that same week, I think earlier in the week, I attended the League of California Cities board meeting that was held in Berkeley, and last week the Metropolitan Transportation Commission met, our monthly meeting, and we moved forward a very important policy for transit-oriented communities that includes renter protections. It's hard for us to believe in Alameda that this could be controversial, but the Metropolitan Transportation Commission covers the 9 Bay Area counties and 101 cities, and we don't all speak with one one mind, but we, the majority who felt that renter protections were indeed essential, managed to carry the day. And then last Thursday evening, I know Council Member Jensen, I saw her in the room, the League of California Cities East Bay Division, which is the cities of Alameda and Contra Costa counties, held our annual legislators dinner, and we had 4 state senators, including ours, Senator Jesse Adigan, Senator Aisha Wahab. I just went blank on the other 2 from Contra Costa. Tim, we know Tim's last name.
Grayson.
Tim Grayson and McNerney, Jerry McNerney, Senator. There, we remembered you all, senators. Anyway, it was a very good, very well-attended and good discussion. And here we are today. On to you, Councilmember Bowler. Anything to report?
Thank you,
Use your microphone. Okay. Councilmember Daysog?
Oh, yes, just 3 items. It was very fun attending the welcome to the Australian soccer team for the World Cup. Also in attendance was the Consul General from Australia, based in San Francisco. I think his name is Chris Ketterer. So that was very nice to meet him and his wife. Also, we attended, Councilmember Greg Bowler and myself had attended the City Council Alameda Unified School District joint liaison meeting. Was that last week? I think it was last week. And finally, this afternoon, it was very fun to attend a Zoom meeting facilitated by Aaron Smith, the Public Works Director, regarding tree planting along Fernside. And I believe there was a live meeting last night.
Yeah.
But this afternoon during lunchtime, there was a Zoom meeting for the same thing. And interesting data, there was 117 trees in question. 5 are in poor state and will perhaps need to be removed. 88 are, surprisingly, according to staff and consultants, 88 of the 117 are in good condition and 24 are in fair condition. But I guess 5 are facing some difficulty, and there was discussions regarding how to plan around the fact that a lot of the trees, their roots are, as we all know, on Gibbons Drive, their roots are bringing up the sidewalks there. So it was very informative meeting meant to involve the community on the front end in terms of planning that street.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And then we move on to mayor's nominations. I have not had a chance to do interviews. I will soon. So with that, I will adjourn the regular city council meeting, but don't go away. I would now like to call the special joint meeting of the city council and successor agency to the Community Improvement Commission, used to be known as the Redevelopment Agency. I would like to call that meeting to order. Madam Clerk, may we have the roll call?
Roll call has been noted. 5 present.
Thank you. And then we move on to the consent calendar. These are routine items approved with one motion, unless council members or commissioners remove items for discussion. Removed items will be called after the regular agenda items. Any public comment on the consent calendar?
There is none.
All right. So any council discussion on the consent calendar? Otherwise, may we have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Was that you, Councilmember Jensen? Councilmember Jensen moves approval, seconded by Councilmember Bowler. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All right. Aye. That motion passes. So then we move on to the regular agenda, which is one item, item 3A. Madam Clerk, would you please introduce that item?
Adoption of resolution amending the fiscal year 25-26 budget and adoption of resolution approving workforce changes for fiscal year 25-26.
Thank you. Good evening. You want to introduce yourself?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. My name is Ross McCarthy, the city's finance director. Here with me tonight is E.Cat Burton, the city's budget manager. Just as a reminder, city council's strategic priorities include enhancing community safety and services, investing in transportation infrastructure, housing all Alamedans and ending homelessness, building resilience to climate change, and water level rise and carrying out equitable, inclusive, and fiscally responsible governance. This is just prepping for our budget overview tonight. The budget policy adopted last fall directs us to minimize changes during this mid-year process. Adjustments are to be limited to technical corrections, time-sensitive opportunities or issues, and new grant activities. In light of that policy, and given our current tight fiscal environment, staff are given directions including no new workforce changes, O&M requests limited to minor or unforeseen issues, and only significant changes if driven by a major external event. I'm pleased to report that staff adhered closely to that guidance. Overall, the city remains in a stable but tight financial position. Our property tax revenues continue to be reliable. Our reserves remain fairly healthy, and we do maintain a modest residual fund balance that I'll discuss in just a little bit. Consistent with the budget policy direction, there are no new staffing requests in this mid-year budget, with the exception of 2 position upgrades requested by AMP already approved by the Public Utility Board. Operational and maintenance requests were limited to the most necessary adjustments. In total, staff requests resulted in a $229,000 increase in ongoing general fund costs. I believe this level of restraint reflects a strong collaborative effort across departments to align with the city's budget policy. One-time revenues, especially transfer tax and income tax, and interest income, came back a little higher than anticipated last year. As a result of that one-time money and these budget proposals, we are projecting and anticipating ending residual fund balance of $10.8 million at the end of this fiscal year. This ending residual fund balance is in addition to City Council's 25% reserve policy. In summary, this mid-year budget reflects discipline, adherence to council policy, and a continued commitment to long-term fiscal responsibility. Here's ECAT to go over the individual department requests.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, Ross. Good evening, Council. So I'll go over each individual department request. Next slide. The fire department had one mid-year request, which the staff recommends. Next slide. That was for new furniture as a part of their new administrative office. Next slide. Public Works had a total of 6 mid-year requests, of which staff has recommended 5. Next slide. When we look at the requests that were for general fund, these are all one-time requests. These include the additional project costs for the AMP undergrounding project, a repair of a fence along Encinal High Street, and the damaged sewer line that happened at the golf course that resulted in overtime to the general fund. Next slide. It also resulted in overtime to other funds, so that is included as a part of the non-general fund requests. The other non-general fund requests are one-time, including covering a facility condition assessment that the Public Works Department needs in order to prepare for the 27-29 biennial, and paying for additional permit costs for stormwater. Next slide. Rec and Park had a total of 5 mid-year requests, of which staff is recommending 3. When it comes to the general fund requests, there was one for the Sweeney Trail Connector Project as a one-time request, and then ongoing requests for additional contractor classes through the Rec and Park centers. And as a non-general fund request, there was request to the Open Space Maintenance Fund, Fund 217, in order to then install an irrigation system for the Officers Club. Next slide. Planning, Building, and Transportation had a total of 6 requests, of which staff is recommending 4. On the general fund side, these are both ongoing requests. One is to pay for city attorney costs as well as an intern, and then the other is to pay for the Sustainability Division's professional development. In terms of non-general fund, they also need funds to pay for city attorney costs through the Bike Ped Project Fund 244, as well as Multimodal Project 245. Additional required uniforms through the MOU, through Fund 209, and replacing and planning for the replacement of the wooden bridge in Fund 244. The City Attorney's Office only had one mid-year request, which staff is recommending because it is for required filing software from the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. Bread requested 2 mid-year requests, which staff is recommending both. These are in regard to supporting the property management of Alameda Point and are both non-general fund. IT had 1 mid-year request, which staff is recommending. This is also in regards to the additional cost for the AMP undergrounding project that will come from the general fund. And now we'll just give you a summary of the grants. Staff were really successful in applying for and receiving additional grants that we are adding to the mid-year. So this is the list of grants, of which 4 are new from the PBT department. We also want to go over the list of requests that staff did not recommend. These cover both one-time and ongoing requests to the general fund as well as the gas tax. Next slide. Finally, we just want to briefly show you the workforce requests that were approved for AMP through the Public Utilities Board. These are specifically position upgrades for 2 different positions and 2 higher classifications. And on that note, staff has covered everything in this presentation and are here to answer questions.
Thank you for that. Council, any clarifying questions? I have a couple. Thank you both for the presentation. In the staff report, oops, let's see if I can find it. In the staff report, this is page 2, it's item A7, and it is miscellaneous revenues, $94,567. It says that the Recreation and Parks Department has collected $94,567 in miscellaneous revenue that needs to be allocated. Where does this miscellaneous revenue come from? It's more than you find in the couch cushions, right?
Actually, we have big couch cushions here. I will give you a little history on that one.
Yeah.
This has been the project over the last few years, actually, to just look through those couch cushions. Director Justin Long and myself have found this liability on the books for a very long time. They were called deposits from customers. And this has been on the books for at least 5 years into our new software. And ultimately what this was if somebody came and needed to rent something from ARPD, I'm guessing like a pergola or something, I don't really know what they do over there. But what would happen is a customer would give them a deposit, and then when we return the deposit to the customer, we would actually expense it out. So we were taking it, we were removing it, we were paying for it out of an expense rather than the liability itself. So this was just kind of a bookkeeping error, I guess we were doing for over the multiple years. And so yes, we did find it in the couch cushions. So we're still looking, but that's the history to that one.
Okay, thank you. Don't go away. The other one that I highlighted, and okay, on page 3 of the staff report, down the bottom of the page, it's got 2 letter items, C6 and D16, Public Works, sewer main damage overtime. Now I'm thinking that was the golf course. So my question is, staff is requesting this one-time overtime pay to pay for unanticipated overtime staff work to handle an emergency where one of the city's sewer force mains was damaged. My detective question is, who damaged it or what caused the damage? Well, and the reason I ask is not so much to apportion blame, but to look for money if money is due us. Is that something that we did, or it was just aging pipes that failed, or was it an outside contractor? You're nodding your head. Assistant City Manager Amy Boulder, did you want to take this one?
Sure. Thank
Take
you,
it away.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Yes, these are the overtime expenses and other costs that were directly related to work that Greenway Golf was doing at the golf course, and they didn't do the proper USA, and so they hit our line.
The proper USA?
Sorry, USA, I don't recall what it actually stands for, but it was when you call it in.
Yeah.
Utility service something, it's when
Yeah.
you call it in
Okay.
to locate a utility, an underground utility. So we have already sent a letter detailing that information. Greenway Golf is aware, and we're working closely with them on potential reimbursement.
Okay, good to know. I didn't see that.
Requested reimbursement.
Okay, I didn't see that. I mean, and maybe that wasn't the purpose, but I mean, this is $61,000 and that was, yeah, if that is not something that we caused, we shouldn't be footing the bill. So thank you for that clarification. And let's see, the others, yeah, and that shows up in another area of the report. And then the other thing, and you can even sit down because this is just something that I want to highlight, and it's good news. On page 5 of the staff report, under D3, Fund 210 Library Summer Reading Program, it is noted that the city received $118,200 as a donation from the Friends of the Library Association, and will use this donation to fund its summer reading program. So, I mean, everyone should have friends like the Friends of the Library. They are an awesome library support association. I think the foundation and the Friends merged a couple years ago, but $118,200 is pretty spiffy. And, you know, they run, I believe they run the cafe in the library, so be sure to go and get something to eat and drink and support the Friends when you're in the library. They also run the used book sale that makes money that they put back into the library. So just wanted to highlight that for everybody. Okay, I guess that wasn't really a question. I could turn it into one if like Jeopardy, but we won't do that. Any other questions / comments? Councilmember Jensen.
I have a question about, it's, let's see, on the mid-year adjustments non-general fund, the breed, D11 and D12, the increased expenses for property management services.
What page are you on? Councilmember Jensen, it's on the staff report?
Yes.
Do you have the page number?
I'm not sure if it's the chart, 25-26 mid-year budget adjustments, non-general fund. I don't see a page number on it, but I could be missing it.
Is my stuff titled differently than yours?
It's one of the exhibits, is that what you're saying, rather than the staff report?
Yes, Exhibit 1.
Oh, Exhibit 1.
Exhibit 1, okay, got it, okay. Hi, and who might you be? I know, but others might not.
So well, I'll ask my question then.
Okay.
Thank you. My question, these are two expenses. One, the first one is $109,383 for property management services, and the second one is $500,000 for property management services insurance. And my question is, in April of last year, there was approval of a contract with Lincoln Property LPC, our property manager, and that included an annual reimbursement of $500,000 for liability. So how does this relate to what was approved last year?
Thank you, Councilmember. Abby Thorne-Lyman, I'm the Director of Base Reuse and Economic Development. And yeah, this is the same expense. We did not have time, given the late nature of the adoption of that item, to fold it into the 2-year budget cycle. So we're adjusting the budget now, and I'll say that is partly my fault, because I have been struggling for the last 2 years to really frankly understand the budget since I started, and I finally got my head around exactly what is in our non-labor expenses. And by the time I did that, the budget cycle had already passed. So now I have a really good handle on what is in Red's non-labor budget, and have confirmed that we do not have the $500,000 to cover that insurance policy.
And then, so that's the $500,000. Is the $109,383? Is that the contingency that's in the original contract, or in the April contract?
I think that was the other request that was actually for the TMA. Am I? Yeah. So that might have, I'm sorry, I don't have the staff report in front of me, but that request is, so the Alameda Transportation Management Association receives 40% of the CFD 17-1 revenues, which is the Alameda Point CFD, to run the transportation demand management services. And so because that fund experienced higher than anticipated revenues, which was also an adjustment that's being made in this budget, we are adjusting that dollar amount to ensure that the ATMA continues to receive that 40% allocation to pay for bay passes for residents and employees, as well as to help fund the water shuttle.
Great, so that expense was already, there was revenue already available for that one, and the other one was already approved as part of the prior year contract, ongoing contract.
Yeah, the contract was approved, and I thought I just wasn't sure if I would have room to accommodate the 500,000 in my budget, but I did not. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And actually, I'm not sure whose this is, but it just reminded me, I have another question, and it has to do with the wooden bicycle bridge over on Bay Farm Island. So there is a section that talks about if we get a grant from, who is it from? Okay, it's down at the bottom. I'm on the staff report, bottom of page 5, and it goes over to the top of page 6. D8 Fund 244 Bike Pedestrian Annual Projects Wooden Bridge Plan. Planned use of fund balance to apply for a Caltrans Sustainable Communities grant and utilize these funds as the matching funds requirement for long-term planning to replace the wooden bridge. If Caltrans does not award this competitive grant to this project, PBT, which is our Planning, Building, Transportation Department, will use the funds to support the 5-year update to the Vision Zero action plan, totals to $60,000. I mean, I'm all for the Vision Zero action plan, but what are we doing about that wooden bridge? Because as it is, bicyclists are now instructed to dismount and walk their bikes because it's not structurally sound to ride over it. So is that another one for you, Assistant City Manager? Or
Sure.
Unless you avoid eye contact, I might just call on you. So please enlighten us.
I'm happy to. And so if I can just clarify your question is what are we doing in the absolute immediate as of today with it?
I mean, we could start with today, but then we talk about we're using the fund balance to apply for this Caltrans grant, but if we don't get it, if they don't award the competitive grant, then we'll use those funds we were going to use for matching funds or partial funds or whatever and put it in Vision Zero, but the bridge didn't become any newer or more stable just because we might not get a grant. So what's happening with that?
I see what your question is. Thank you for clarifying.
Would you like assistance? Well, why don't
Sure.
you come up to the microphone too? We could do a duet or something. No, let's see. Let's start with Assistant City Manager, and then we'll.
Yeah. So, yes, if they don't get the Caltrans grant, which is for a much larger amount and has already gone to council, if they don't get it, the $60,000 that they were going to use for the match, they would use they already have a proposal, a scope of work from a consultant to do a 2-step process. And so this $60,000 would fund the initial feasibility study. So we can just look at what are the potential options and costs for this bridge, and especially looking at, because the Caltrans grant would look at full replacement options. We also want to look at, if we don't get the grant, what are options for the existing bridge to just shore it up for the next 10 years while we look at longer term solutions.
And to add to that, the staff is coming to the mid-cycle process with additional funding request around the wooden bridge. So there will be more that staff will be sharing during mid-cycle.
And that's just a couple months away.
A couple weeks away, actually. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
March, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I don't know if you're a bicyclist, but I am, and that's not great. Okay, thank you both. All right, we'll wait to learn more. Okay, any other questions, council? I'm sorry. Was that a question?
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk, public comment?
There's none.
We will close public comment. So on this item that is Item 3A, adoption. Madam Clerk, do we need one or two motions?
You can do one or two. It's up to you guys.
Should we take a vote on whether we do one or two motions?
I don't know if anybody wants it bifurcated to vote different on the two, or?
And explain what there's
The first
two-
resolution is
yeah.
to adopt the budget, and then the second is approving the workforce changes, so.
Okay, use your microphone if you would, please. so we can hear the
To
record.
approve both, please.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Bowler to adopt both the resolution amending the fiscal year 25-26 budget and adoption of a resolution approving workforce changes for fiscal year 25-26. Are we going to stay on the right side of the dais for a second, Councilmember Daysog?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
not
Yeah,
at
okay.
all.
second.
All right, but the vice mayor comes forward. Okay, any further discussion, Councilmember?
Yes.
Yes, Councilmember Daysog.
I appreciate the fact that staff is putting together the mid-year budget adjustments, which we always do. But I want to keep in mind that I didn't support the original underlying budget for the reason that the sworn police officer positions was frozen at 72 officer positions versus what I believe has been historically 88 sworn officer positions. Now, that's not to say police officers actually lost their jobs. Let's make sure that that's not to say that. But what it is to say, though, is that the positions into which real life bodies go, the positions have been frozen. And as expressed, I think, what was it, in 2025 when we dealt with this, I think we have the underlying revenue to actually go to 88 sworn officer positions. So it's never really been clear to me as to why we froze it at 72 positions. And so for that reason, when this first came around, I voted no, and I will continue to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Daysog, and I will just note for the record that more than one of us has stated, for the record, from this dais, that we would like that number to be increased, but it's not before us this evening. Okay, we've had a motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
So the motion passes 4-1, and that takes us to adjournment. All right, good work, council. And I will say especially good work to my 4 city council colleagues who have been here since 2 o'clock this afternoon because we started our, right? Because we started our closed session then. So thank you, everybody who's in the chambers. Thank you for watching. Travel safely home, and we'll see you next time. All right. Good evening. This